Today, we are going to be installing a data logger into the all-new VNL. This video will show how to install the logger, route the harness for the logger, and test the function of the logger. Start by disconnecting the batteries by using the battery cutoff switch. We will open the hood to allow us access to the engine bay. Cut and remove the zip ties that hold the chassis harness to the engine. Disconnect the engine interface connector from the engine, gather the engine breakout harness, and install this to the engine. Relocate and route the engine plug out of the way as shown here, and zip tie to the breather tube bracket. Route the breakout harness along the left side of the steering shaft using the pre-existing harness as guidance. Continue to route the harness on the left side of the EFIC mounting bracket and with the harness at the top of the firewall. Secure the harness using cable ties. The harness will be routed along the remainder of the firewall, underneath the cowl, following the pre-existing harness. Continue to route the harness over the AC box and down to the right side of the firewall, following the existing harness. Refer to this diagram to get a better idea of the routing of the harness. Continue securing the harness with cable ties. Once the harness has been routed along the firewall, remove the grommet on the passenger side of the firewall and route the harness through, using the supplied grommet to seal the hole. Be sure to not discard the grommet as this will be needed when the data logger is uninstalled. Once the engine bay install is completed, we need to finish the install in the cab. Start by removing the grab handle, floor mat, center dash panel, and lower dash panels. Remove the two screws securing the bottom right panel. Route the breakout harness through the open cavity second from the right. There is a possibility that the truck will be equipped with a bodybuilder module in the far right cavity. This is why the second from right opening is being used instead. If it is equipped, you may need to remove the bodybuilder interface to remove the cover. Next, we will install the power, ground, and ignition harness. Remove the 4 screws used for mounting the VMCU. Note the location of these 4 screws. Once the VMCU has been moved aside, locate the yellow connector on the left labeled G28. Remove the G28 connector from the PDC. Remove the rubber seal from cavity 6 of the G28 connector. Unlock the locking tab and install the green ignition wire into cavity 6 of the connector, making sure to lock the tab back. Now, reinstall the G28 connector and lock. Route the harness with the existing wires. The ground wire will go straight down. Ensure to leave enough slack for the power wire. Remove the red locking tab from the VMCU. Next, install the red power wire into cavity M4, which is the top second from left of the VMCU. Reinstall the red locking tab. Install the ground wire to the cab ground stud below the kick panel, behind the electrical center. Prepare to install the switch by installing adhesive backings on the switch and dash. Route switch harness behind dash bracket and secure the switch to the dash. Remove 2 screws from the dash panel and feed the harness through the panels following the existing harness. Then secure the harness using cable ties. Finally, reinstall the 2 screws. Connect the female end of the switch harness to the previously installed power ground ignition harness, making sure to tuck wires in place. Grab the blue and yellow harness. Disconnect the blue and yellow connectors from the VMCU. Install the breakout harness between the dash harness and the VMCU. Make sure to secure the harness and connectors using a cable tie. Route the CAN bus connectors and harness through the dash and secure with a cable tie. Grab the SCIM connector. Disconnect A2 62.A. Install the breakout harness between the SCIM harness and the dash harness. Secure the harness with a cable tie. Now we must install the infotainment breakout. Start by removing passenger upper and lower A pillar, followed by the speaker cover. Next, move on to the driver's side upper and lower A pillar and the speaker cover. Remove the dash cover. Then remove the rubber pad and move on to the air duct. Remove the 3 nuts and lift off the air duct. Now locate all dash screws as shown. Once all screws are removed, unsnap the dash pad and disconnect the sun intensity sensor. Remove the dash pad. On the dash, here's where you will find the location of the infotainment connector. Unlatch the XC118 interface connector and install the infotainment breakout harness between the 2 connectors. Tuck the breakout harness, neatly ensuring speaker cover can be installed. Route the CAN connector harness down through the dash. Reinstall the VMCU and install the 4 screws. Now install adhesive to the back of the GPS puck and install the puck as high as possible on the firewall. For installing the logger itself, start by installing adhesive 2-sided Velcro strips to the bracket and data logger and attach the logger to the bracket. Disconnect the clip that secures the wiring and move wires out of the way. Now, install the logger and bracket into the dash. As shown, this step on the bracket matches the groove on the dash. Secure the top of the bracket using cable ties. Connect the GPS puck connectors to the data logger. Now we're ready for the CAN interface. Install the CAN interface harness to the logger. Route data logger power and ground over to the switch male connector of the switch. Then plug the power wire from the switch in the dash to the data logger. Zip tie the excess harness out of the way, ensuring not to crimp or pinch any of the wires. At this point, install the CAN connector pigtail to the engine breakout harness. Continue with data link connections, paying close attention to each pairing. Make data link connections to the logger according to the chart shown on screen. Please keep in mind that this is for illustration purposes only, and that some connections may not be used. Store the connections into the second slot. Insert the 5-amp fuse into the slot once the power wire is installed. Once installation is completed, reconnect power to the truck and turn on the ignition. Turn the switch to the power supply on, and the light will turn green. Install is completed. Finish this service procedure by reinstalling the dash pad, air duct, dash cover, and rubber pad. Continue to reinstall the passenger side speaker cover and upper pillar, followed by the driver's side speaker cover and upper pillar. Finally, reinstall the lower dash panels, floor mat, center dash panel, and passenger grab handle. Release the hood safety latch and close the hood. One thing to note, remember to turn off the data logger with updating the ECMS.